Cancer is brutal. It starts quietly. Somewhere deep inside the body, one cell goes wrong, then another, and then, one day, a doctor sits across from you and says the words, "You have cancer." It steals years. It steals people. It leaves families empty inside. It takes the young. It takes the old. It does not care who you are or how much you still want to live. Cancer is one of the harshest things that exists in nature, and the worst part is, it has been here since the beginning. Most people think cancer is a modern disease. We blame processed food, pollution, and the fact that we sit too much. And while those things definitely matter, the truth is much older. In 2016, inside a cave in South Africa, scientists found a foot bone from a human ancestor. The bone belonged to a species called Australopithecus, or early Homo. It was about 1.7 million years old, and it showed clear signs of osteosarcoma, a malignant bone cancer. This was not a crack or an injury. The bone had a tumor growing in a creature that walked the earth before our species even existed. The same study also found a benign spinal tumor in a skeleton from about the same time period. Scientists call these kinds of growths neoplasms, and finding them in fossils from nearly 2 million years ago tells us something deep. Cancer is not new. Cancer is ancient. Cancer mostly affects soft tissue, organs, skin, and blood. Soft tissue does not fossilize. It disappears over centuries and thousands of years. What survives is bone. So what we find in the fossil record is only a tiny part of the cancers that really existed. Scientists call this a preservation bias. We are only seeing the cancers that left a mark on hard tissue. That is why mummies have been so valuable. Mummies preserve soft tissue, and mummies have taught us a great deal. Researchers using CT scans and advanced imaging have found tumors in Egyptian mummies that are thousands of years old. One study scanned 137 mummies and found evidence of cancer in several of them. So the fossil and mummy record together paint a clear picture. Ancient humans got cancer regularly, but we do not have to rely only on bones and mummies. Ancient people wrote about cancer too. The Edwin Smith papyrus from ancient Egypt dates back to around 1600 BCE. It describes bulging tumors of the breast. The text says they have no treatment. That is a direct and heartbreaking statement from a doctor writing nearly 4,000 years ago. The Greek doctor Hippocrates, who lived around 400 BCE, gave cancer its name. He used the word carcinos. That is the Greek word for crab. He thought the swollen veins around a tumor looked like crab legs reaching outward. The Roman doctor Celsus later translated that word into the Latin word cancer. That is the word we still use today. So for thousands of years, across many civilizations, people saw cancer, wrote about it, and tried to understand it. They just did not know what caused it. To understand why cancer is ancient, we need to understand what cancer really is. Cancer begins when a cell gets a mutation. The DNA inside the cell gets damaged or copied the wrong way. Most of the time, the body catches and fixes these mistakes, but sometimes a mutated cell escapes that repair system. It starts dividing out of control. It builds up into a mass. It pushes into the tissue around it. Mutations happen naturally. They can happen every time a cell divides. They are part of life itself. The more cells you have and the longer you live, the more chances there are for a mutation to slip through. Every living thing with dividing cells carries this risk. Dinosaurs got cancer. Ancient fish got cancer. Even trees can get cancer. So, did ancient humans actually get cancer less often than we do today? The honest answer is probably yes, but not for the reasons people usually think. The biggest reason is lifespan. Most ancient humans died young. They died from infection, injury, predators, and famine. The average life expectancy for a prehistoric human was about 25 to 35 years. Cancer takes time. Most cancers develop after age 50. If you die at 30 from a lion attack or a tooth infection, cancer never gets a chance to grow. Ancient humans also had different risk factors. They did not smoke tobacco. They were not exposed to industrial chemicals. They ate whole foods. They moved their bodies all the time. All of these things lowered certain cancer risks. but they had their own risks too. Smoke from cooking fires caused lung irritation. Parasitic infections and long-term inflammation can help cause certain cancers. Sun exposure without protection raises the risk of skin cancer. They were not living in a cancer-free paradise, they were just dying from other things first. So why does it seem like cancer is everywhere today? Part of the answer is that we live longer. Modern medicine has removed or reduced many of the things that used to kill people young. So now we have millions of people reaching their 60s, 70s, and 80s. That is the main window for cancer to grow and be found. Another part of the answer is detection. We now have technology that can find a tumor the size of a fingernail inside the body. Ancient doctors could only see what was visible or feel what was near the surface. Most cancers inside the body went completely unnoticed. And yes, modern lifestyle factors do raise certain cancer risks. Tobacco is directly linked to lung, throat, and mouth cancer. Processed red meat is linked to colorectal cancer. Obesity is connected to more than a dozen types of cancer. UV radiation causes skin cancer. Understanding that cancer is ancient actually helps scientists today. If cancer has been with us for millions of years, that means it is woven deep into the structure of multicellular life. Researchers are now studying why some ancient animals seem to have had lower cancer rates. Elephants, for example, carry extra copies of a cancer-suppressing gene called TP53. Scientists are studying those genes to see if they can create human cancer treatments. The fossil record also helps us track how cancer rates change over time. By comparing ancient bone tumors to modern ones, researchers can study how certain cancers change and which conditions seem to trigger them. Cancer is not just a medical problem, it is an evolutionary puzzle, and understanding its deep history is part of solving it. A 1.7 million-year-old bone, a tumor, a creature that lived before language, before fire, before civilization. Cancer was there. It is one of the oldest enemies the human family line has ever faced. And for the first time in that long history, we actually have the tools to fight back.